Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench series at the AMR and One Health Lab with our fantastic PhD student, Ziming Wu. Hi, Ziming. How are you feeling today?
Hi, Linda. I'm feeling good. Yes, it's me again. And today I'm going to share some research experience in this episode.
Good. So, Ziming, we are very excited to hear about your research experience. So, you've been studying your PhD. You are now in the third year of your PhD. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your learning experience here at the AMR and One Health Lab at Queen's? How would you say your training and research experience has been?
So, Queens is a nice play because it's the first time I get into this like a high technology like kind of lab. So we have basically every equipment that is needed for the research that we have, and some of them that we don't need, but we can try to export that. If somebody doing the research say that you are interested in that machine, you might ask them, oh, what are you doing, that can I see? So you can learn some basic thing of that machine. So if like it is better for you to do an interview after your graduation, because the interviewer might ask you, oh, do you know this, do you know that? I mean, even that you don't know how to use this machine, but at least you have seen this. So you can share your experience and share your like a little bit knowledge of how you want to export this. If because we know that uh, try to learn as much as things in this era is the best, because it's hard. It's actually very hard to find exactly match job or exactly match like school or project after your PhD. It is hard to find a highly matched one. So I think this time you need to learn, like try to learn as many as possible of all the things. Even you don't need to learn so deep, but at least you can talk about this with someone else when they are asking you.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. So, apart from learning your own core skills within your own project, you have the opportunity to learn from others around you, and that's what you're saying. Well,
Yes.
that sounds good. So, can you tell us one thing or a few things, if you have more than one, that has surprised you during your PhD?
The most things that surprised me, I think, is the study style here is quite different with our country. Because in our country, for the PhD or master student, their project or the study are very, very rush. So every day they're doing so many things. And I think in our country, I think for my suggestion, they need a time to chill and to look back what they have did and why they're doing this, but just not keep doing like things every day, every hours. I think that's not so good to learn like experience or to learn knowledge, because after a whole day that with the high pressure of working, you cannot think about, you don't have your mind anymore. So it's
Mhm.
not good to learn here. But I find here I have more uh autonomies. I can be more independent. So because that is more depends on my personality. Because someone like people to guide them, but someone don't like. For me, it's I need like a major direction that I can go with, and for the rest of the details, I like to try to explore myself to see to achieve this target. I can do this analysis. I can do that analysis. Even I don't need to use all the result from all this analysis that I did. But however, if I did all, I would figure out which one is the best one, for example, for a publication or not. And the
Mhm.
rest parts that I did but didn't use to a publication, at least I know the techniques. So you are familiar, if you're familiar with all these kinds of techniques, your CV would be much more perfect. What like just directly go what you need, but not explore like things that
Yeah,
you can do but you didn't do.
yeah. I think that's a very good way to put it. It's not enough to just get as much work done and get as much work done without actually thinking through what you're doing. And yes, I do share that feeling that, you want to think about what you're doing a little bit more and you want to try and explore on your own. It allows you to learn and allows you to see what works and what doesn't work. So yes, that's very interesting. So what did that come like a little bit of a shock to you? Did you need time to adjust to that kind of system?
Uh, no, I don't think so because I think that's the style that I was looking for.
Mm, okay.
Actually, I am not a very, very common student who learns by a theoretical knowledge, reading books, reading paper. Actually, I learn everything from practice and experience. So instead of reading, actually, to be honest, I don't like reading. Instead of reading so many paper, keep taking notes. What I would do is when I see something that might be close to my topic or might be I like to do this, I would directly do that. And
Mm-hmm.
until I fail and try to figure out why I fail. So I like failures because that's how I learn. I learn from failures.
Mm.
So actually the failure is needed for research because most of the time in PhD it's not sacked, it's failed.
You're learning how not to do things.
Yeah, especially if we are also going to do like a PI or like a researcher postdoc or something after our graduation. I mean, your PhD might go smoothly, everything following the protocol very smoothly. You don't have any question. But when your student have a question in this area, they ask you, why yours going well, but mine doesn't go well. You will ask, you can just tell them that, oh, I don't know because I follow the protocol. I just know
Mm,
why I succeed. I don't know why you are wrong. But you have to deal with this because actually when you are reporting your result to your supervisor, all the things that you want to report are positive, but most of the thing you got from your starting from your researching are negative. So
mm,
you need to how to say. I think it's a good style for me. It's
mhm.
not just by reading things.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you still read because you
Of
need to
course.
know what other researchers have done. But it's very I'm intrigued to kind of learn that, you're accepting that not everything is going to be positive um from a PhD work because some
Yeah.
things will not go as you plan.
For me, just like not, I don't like a broad reading. So, for
Mm,
example, in this area, you have 100 paper. Please read that 100. I won't do that. For example, if I have a question, I would directly find the paper who explain the question or explore the
mhm,
question. See,
mm,
have they done this? Have they solved this question? Or do they have the same question? Maybe if or everybody have the same question, can I solve this question? If I can solve this, I could be more impact in this area.
yeah. So you're looking for the gaps and you're looking for papers that are kind trying to help you to get to your goals. So, I mean, that's a smart way to look at that as well. So I have another question for you. You already talked about the fact that things don't always work, but can you tell us what challenge that you have faced? Maybe anything that comes to mind during this PhD and how did you approach it?
Actually, at my first year, because I am working with my seniors, so with her guide, everything is working smoothly until we have a question about the DNA extraction method. We're using a boiling method for a large scale of DNA extraction and 16S sequencing. But the methodology we use stop us to get the 16S band from the PCR, from the gel electrophoresis. So we were stuck for this issue for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And by repeat, because I don't want to directly just repeating this until they succeed. Because if in science, if something that we are repeating for so many times and it's still not working, it will not work by just repeating. So it must need some changes. So I look for the original paper of this. I didn't tell anyone, and I secretly look for the original paper to find what is the problem of all the ingredient they added. What is the problem? Why the PCR doesn't work? So finally, I find that because we are using uh, like a reagent that might kill that's used to lyse the cell, but it might also kill the enzyme when we are doing the PCR. So that means the PCR doesn't work because the enzyme was dead. So
Mm.
I figure out another reagent that to neutralize this buffer that can help the enzyme work better. So finally, I rush back to the school at weekend and secretly I do the test and I figure out that it actually works, and I figure out the question. So I think that's the first time that I feel like I'm doing a PhD, but not a technician work, not just following a protocol, because actually
Yeah. So
it,
that I
it's,
think that makes complete sense because in
yes.
fact you've gone back on yourself and you've said, I encountered a problem and I went back to literature to check exactly what might be causing the problem. So the literature does have its place, but then you tried that out. And I know you're saying secretly. So what you're actually meaning that you did it on your own, you tried to figure it out on your own. And I think that as a supervisor myself, one of the things that I'm really pleased and proud of you for is the ability to go away and troubleshoot and come back with a solution. And sometimes you don't wait for another person to tell you what to do. And I think that that is the growth that anybody wants to see in themselves and any supervisor will be proud of. So well done on that. Um, I'm just wondering, what advice would you give to someone starting a PhD in the field of antimicrobial resistance? Do you have any advice that you might want to give to people?
Actually, yes. This year, AI comes very soon, right? So I think as a PhD, we need to work better with AI, not just by like, send me a paper, like, help me write a paper, help me do the research, not like that. Because but actually, I know in this era, there are lots of researchers, they don't like using AI because they think they might not, their information they provided might be fake, might be not true, like because they might not reading enough paper. But actually, if we don't treat them as the like how to say bibliography books, we just treat them as a tool who can help us improve the speed we are learning, and we are conclude all the result that we got is pretty useful, and it can solve your weak part, and it can strengthen your advantage in this area. For me, I am a organizer, and I always has innovative idea. But however, when I am going to achieve any target that I want to achieve. For example, I have an idea, but however, to achieve just what I said before, to achieve this idea, I need to learn so many technique, right? Before we have this AI, this technique was a block because it is very hard to learn all of these techniques in a very short time, but you also need to complete your PhD. So how am I going to learn that? I think a better solution for this is to find someone in this area that can help you. Say, well, let's cooperate. That you know these techniques. Can you help me achieve this target? But with this AI help, like, I doesn't mean that you don't need you don't need to bother the others, because I know that asking people is good, but it's not it's impossible that you know everything. Just ask once. But I think for myself, it's not so good to bothering people again and again just to figure out how to use these techniques.
So basically, you're saying we can use AI to augment our collaboration with other people because you can use it as a tool to help you get some of the answers that you need,
Yes,
right?
especially for the researchers who don't who don't enjoy talking like me, because I'm not a very talkable guy. I'm not very social like guys.
Mm,
So I'm
yeah.
feared to talk with others. So they help me to improve me without like bothering people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
also it can help you. For example, I have a idea comes from my mind, but I don't know how to explain this in language. Doesn't matter in Chinese or because I am not so talkable. So sometimes I have the issue about how to explain something, because sometimes my language cannot catch up with my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
by explaining this to the AI, they will figure out a better way to how they can explain this. Oh, and you read that sentence. Oh, that's what I want, but I would never think about to explain in this way.
Yes.
So that
And
you
then you
learn,
can take that explanation to your collaborators that you're trying to say, this is what I'm thinking.
and you learn from that. That oh, you can
Mhm.
explain this. I would never figure out how to explain this, because I am not this guy.
It's very, very, I'm really enjoying learning this from you that you're thinking, do you know, AI is actually helping me to articulate myself a little bit better, to help me explain myself a little bit better. Because sometimes I think that so long as sometimes I think that people don't realize the kind of barrier that language can be or expressing yourself. Sometimes it's not a problem with language, but it's a problem with expression and organizing your thoughts in a way that other people might understand. So yeah, well done. So Zimin, you've been in Queens for a long time now and in Belfast. You've done your master's here and you're also doing your PhD here. Can you tell us what that experience has been like being away from home? Have you made any friends here in Queens?
Actually, being here, I feel very enjoyable because actually I'm a very independent guy. I am a totally different person who stay at home and stay outside of home. I learn everything independently, and actually for myself, for my own personality, I need more personal space to achieve more goals in my limited lifetime to get more impact in at least one area, because I think that's the reason why we are here, why we are alive, right? We need to make something. So because yeah, like that. So I have to like leave my families like for some times until that I can like have something that I can tell them though, oh, I did it. Like I don't let you down, right? It quins a little bit out of my expectation because to be honest, I know that even in a foreign country in the United Kingdom, there is a lot of Chinese. But however, in Northern Ireland, I didn't see so many in our school. So most of the time, I'm talking with foreigners, not our own people.
Mm,
So actually, it forced me to speak English, which is the environment that we don't have in the mainland of China. Because
mm,
even we learn lot of English skills in China, but we don't have a chance to speak with an actual foreigner. And here, they force me to do that, and I think that makes my English like become better and better instead of like taking notes of what the grammar, taking notes of the vocabularies of this thing. By instead of doing this, I learn from directly talking. Even that because they all know, my friends all know that I am not like English speaker. So they will try to understand me and I can slow down. So as the time passed, because when I'm speaking English, I would try to rephrase the sentence in my brain again and again to make sure that they would not misunderstand my what I mean, and they would not it would not be so rude because I'm not learning well. It would not be so rude. But this time, just like what I say to you now, I can directly speak what I want to speak, and I don't
mhm,
need to prepare. So that's how I learn
mm,
from the environment and all of my friends here. Thanks to them, because a little bit, I think my foreigners friend here is a little bit different of like the custom, the personality, a little bit different with my Chinese friend. So I think it's good to see the war, different people, like something like that.
That's very profound, Zimin. Thank you so much again for joining us for another episode of Behind the Bench series. We hope that next week we will get to learn even a little bit more about you. And in week 4 of this month, we hope that you'll be able to share some of the outputs and results that you have been working on in your project. I hope you have a lovely day and see you all again soon. Bye.
Okay, see you.